The Northman is Robert Eggers' Viking epic that was only released to cinemas in 2022. I was not expecting too much because it had an estimated budget of $60 million, but only took $68.5 million at the worldwide box office. However, this is another surprisingly good 4K release. Alexander Skarsgård stars as Amleth, who as a young Viking child sees his father killed and his mother kidnapped. He vows revenge, and when he is old enough and strong enough, he sets about getting it. It's all rather brutal and seems to get increasingly gory as the film goes on. It runs for 2 hours and 17 minutes, but I felt it was best for the first 90 minutes or so. It's all pretty good, I just felt that it lost its way a bit towards the end and took things perhaps a little too far. Maybe a second viewing will make me appreciate that last half an hour or so more than I did the first time. We'll see. Now, it also stars Nicole Kidman, William Dafoe, Ethan Hawke and Anya Taylor-Joy, so a very good cast assembled, even if the dialogue from them is a little difficult to discern at times, owing to the Nordic accents adopted. The plot is all pretty straightforward though, and so none of this will detract in any way, and if you do find any trouble discerning the dialogue, it shouldn't affect your enjoyment of this movie. The Northman was shot 35mm, Super 35 to be precise, and that is why we have the image aspect ratio of 2.0 to 1. Now, normally Super 35 is cropped down to 235, 24 to 1, but in this instance we're getting the sort of full height of Super 35, I think. If I can use this reel to illustrate it, this piece of leader, if you can see the frame sizes there. Super 35 usually has black bars top and bottom because the image area only fills 3 sprockets high as opposed to standard 35 which is 4 sprockets high, but the big difference is that the whole area of the film between the sprockets is filled by image, hence the Super 35 name, which is similar to that adopted for 8mm when Super 8 came along, when the sprocket size was reduced and that made for a super image size on the 8mm film. It's a similar process, but the sprockets remain the same. It's just there's image area all the way across, and that usually results in the final image aspect ratio being 2.4 or 2.35 to 1, but in this case it's 2.0 to 1, so I believe that this time they're using the full height of the image as shot. The Northman was shot in both Iceland and Northern Ireland, and the look of the film, the grading, has been given a sort of cold look which is suitable for the harsh landscapes that we're looking at. It really does look like you're back in time with the Vikings going across the waters, across the landscapes. There's very little civilization and life is particularly brutal, so the whole look of the film really does suit the story and the characters portrayed. The image quality itself looks really sharp, which perhaps thereby denotes the finest Kodak Vision film stock. I really like the way this one was filmed. It's impressive to look at, and there's one scene in particular that is worth taking a look at perhaps before you even watch the film. It's chapter 4, and it's right at the beginning of chapter 4 where the camera is on a riverbank looking through the middle of a break in a hedge, and a Viking boat goes past, loads of Vikings rowing. The camera goes out into the water and it somehow puts the camera on the passing boat, and the cameraman then continues to film on that boat. I can only guess at how they did that, but I'm thinking a cameraman with a Steadicam on the end of a crane who's lifted into position and manages to carry off that scene perfectly. But the rest of the film, there's a lot of night sequences in this, and I think the black levels are pretty good when you consider that the only light they seem to use was the firelights from the campfires and perhaps a bit of lightning here and there, but overall very little artificial light that I could discern. So impressive filmmaking, even if it does appear a little too dark at times. Now, some systems may present this better than others. We had this with the most recent version of Dune, whereby commenters were able to confirm that not only was it different on their home systems, but it was different when they saw it in multiple cinemas, and where Dune was too dark in one cinema, it looked perfect in another. So we have to remember this is not 35mm film we're looking at anymore, so all the results will be different owing to electronic equipment. So I think the picture is pretty darn good, but what of the sound? It's special. in here the sound was going all over the room and all around the room, and on my THX system this really was special. So I think this is going to prove popular for lovers of Dolby Atmos everywhere, but this is one that will sound good on just about everything. There is a steelbook available, but this first edition from HMV looked more appealing to me. It cost £29.95 as against £24.95 for the standard edition, so it's £5 more for some bits of card really, but I rather like it. I probably wouldn't have even considered taking a look at the Northman, so I have to thank John Ellsworth for this, because he's recently got back into reviewing videos, and 4K videos at that, and this was one he took a look at in a roundup review recently, and he really liked it. So as I value what he says, I thought I'd take a look at that. So thank you, John. I'll leave a link down to the video in which John Ellsworth includes a sort of brief review of the Northman, and be warned though, I like his humorous, over-the-top style, but it may not be for everyone. He's rather exuberant, but I like it. And I also like his sidekick in his videos, which is a full-size mannequin of Michael Myers from Halloween. So he's all right in my book. And I'll leave the link, as I said, down below. Take a look, see what you think, and maybe give John a subscribe if you like what you see. Right, to conclude, I thought I'd give you a sort of coming soon, or what I hope is coming soon on this channel. Two particular 4K discs I have been inundated with requests for reviews is the original Star Wars and the original Predator. So HMV had those on special offer recently, and I thought, okay, let's finally have a look at these, even though I've been resisting all that pressure to finally give them a review. I've got both of them on Super 8, so I thought in the end it's going to make for an interesting video whereby we not only have the talk of the disc, but we can also see the films running through the projector. So hopefully they're coming soon if they ever turn up in the post. Also, Trevor from Double Bill Movies and I are planning to meet up at the Newbury branch of HMV, where I made a video recently, because the Newbury branch is more or less halfway between where both of us live. I thought it would be an opportunity to interview Trevor about his days at Testronics and also Sony, because of course Trevor was involved in authoring these Blu-ray discs, probably DVDs as well, but it's Blu-ray that we're particularly interested in today. The amount of work that goes into getting a disc ready for release onto the market, and no wonder things go wrong at times. It must be an absolute nightmare to be involved in any of this when something does go wrong. So I thought it would give us a bit more of an understanding as to what is involved and why those things do go wrong. So stay tuned for all that coming soon. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and perhaps consider subscribing so I'll carry on producing content like this again in the future. Until the next video, bye bye for now.